Imagine a concrete fortress rising from the desolate expanse of the open sea. Once, it held a staggering world record, the most densely populated place on our planet. A vertical labyrinth of balconies where children's laughter intertwined with the deafening, ceaseless roar of coal-crushing machinery. A place where violent oceanic typhoons battered the outer walls, but inside, a miniature metropolis raged with neon lights, cinema screens, and the warm clanking of sake glasses. Today, there is only the hollow symphony of wind whistling through shattered windows and waves slowly swallowing crumbling concrete. A phantom island where time was abruptly paralyzed, leaving behind televisions still plugged into decaying walls and children's shoes waiting by the doorways. This is Hashima, the island that burned itself out to forge an empire, only to be cast into the abyss of oblivion. Long before it became a mournful silhouette of decay, Hashima was a soaring testament to human defiance and industrial ambition. In the late 19th century, it was nothing more than a small, jagged reef protruding from the East China Sea, a fleeting resting place for migratory seabirds. But beneath the crashing waves lay a treasure that a rapidly modernizing Japanese empire craved more than gold: an immense, seemingly endless vein of high-grade submarine coal. In 1890, the Mitsubishi Corporation purchased this barren rock, setting into motion an architectural and societal phenomenon unlike anything the world had ever seen. To extract the black gold from deep beneath the seabed, the island had to be heavily fortified against the merciless oceanic typhoons. Year after year, enormous seawalls were poured, expanding the island's footprint and giving it the imposing, armored profile of a dreadnought warship. It was this intimidating silhouette that earned it the nickname Gunkanjima, Battleship Island. Because horizontal space was virtually non-existent, the city had no choice but to climb toward the sky. In 1916, Hashima became the site of Japan's very first large-scale reinforced concrete residential tower. It was an engineering marvel, a brutalist fortress designed to withstand both the crushing weight of the sea and the immense pressure of its own skyrocketing population. By the late 1950s, this tiny speck of land, barely 16 acres in size, housed over 5,000 souls. The population density reached a staggering 83,500 people per square kilometer, rendering it the most crowded place on Earth, a density 9 times higher than modern-day Tokyo. Yet, within this suffocating closeness, a remarkably vibrant, deeply interconnected ecosystem flourished. The island was a living, breathing organism. During its golden age, the narrow, sunless alleyways affectionately known as Hell's Staircases pulsed with fierce vitality. If you stood in the center of the concrete courtyards, the air was thick with a symphony of existence. The crackle of radio broadcasts echoing down the ventilation shafts, the clatter of mahjong tiles from the pachinko parlors, and the rhythmic, heavy footsteps of miners returning from the suffocating darkness of the undersea shafts, which plunged 1,000 meters below sea level. Despite the grim, brutal reality of the subterranean labor, the world above ground was wrapped in a strange, communal warmth. There were no cars, no roads, only a three-dimensional maze of corridors bridging the apartment blocks together. Neighbors lived so intimately that secrets were an impossibility. Women planted lush rooftop gardens, hauling precious soil across the sea from the mainland just to grow radishes and tomatoes, bringing a desperate splash of green to a purely monochromatic gray world. In the evenings, the communal baths overflowed with exhausted workers washing away the heavy coal dust, their voices mingling in a collective sigh of relief through the steam. The island had its own sprawling schools, a state-of-the-art hospital, a Shinto shrine on the highest roof, a cinema, and even a saltwater swimming pool. It was a perfectly self-contained universe floating in the ocean. For the children born within these walls, the mainland was just a distant rumor on the horizon. Hashima was their entire world, spinning in a golden era of prosperity, seemingly invincible, oblivious to the fact that the clock was already ticking toward its demise. The tragedy of Hashima didn't arrive with the deafening roar of a Pacific typhoon, nor did it rise from the suffocating depths of a collapsed mine shaft. The assassin of this concrete utopia was invisible, silent, and born thousands of miles away. It was the unstoppable tide of global progress. In the 1960s, Japan was hurtling through an unprecedented post-war economic miracle. This rapidly modernizing superpower required a new kind of lifeblood. The era of coal, the heavy, soot-stained fuel that had built the empire and birthed Hashima, was ending. In its place came petroleum. Liquid gold, imported from the Middle East, was cheaper, cleaner, and vastly more efficient. Suddenly, the perilous endeavor of extracting coal from 1,000 meters beneath the ocean floor became a costly relic. The Japanese government officially shifted its energy policy, and the distant geopolitical tremors finally reached the island's shores. The relentless, rhythmic thud of the coal crushers, the mechanical heartbeat that had pulsed through the concrete walls for decades, began to falter. A heavy, unspoken anxiety permeated the once vibrant alleyways. The fatal blow landed on January 15, 1974. The Mitsubishi Corporation made an irrevocable announcement. The Hashima undersea mine would close permanently. It was a corporate decree that struck with the finality of a death sentence. Without the mine, Hashima had absolutely no reason to exist. This barren rock could produce no food, pump no fresh water, and offer no future. The mighty concrete battleship, built to withstand the crushing fury of the open ocean, was utterly defenseless against the cold, calculated logic of economics. The order was given. The island's great steam engines would be shut down. Over 5,000 souls had just weeks to pack up their entire lives. The point of no return had been crossed, plunging a bustling city into a silent, agonizing countdown to its own extinction. Push open the swollen, splintered door of a 9th-floor apartment in Block 65, and the suffocating chill of damp concrete instantly bites into your bones, violently replacing the phantom warmth of a family long gone. The stagnant air is impossibly heavy, thick with the metallic scent of oxidized iron, intertwined with the pungent, unmistakable rot of waterlogged paper and dried sea salt. A shaft of pale, bruised light bleeds through a shattered windowpane, illuminating thick, snow-like layers of gray dust that dance lazily in the breathless room. Here, time did not slowly fade. It was surgically severed. On the rotting tatami mat, curling at the edges like dead skin, sits a severely rusted Singer sewing machine, its needle still deeply embedded in the fabric of a half-finished child's school uniform. Beside it, a delicate porcelain teacup, its bottom stained with the dark, fossilized rings of long evaporated green tea. As the ship's horn let out a deep, mournful blast, the massive engines roared to life, slowly pulling the vessel away from the towering seawall. The people watched in stunned, tearful silence as their vertical fortress, their entire universe, shrank into the gray, unforgiving horizon. In that exact moment, the great diesel generators of Hashima were powered down for the very last time. The deafening, mechanical heartbeat that had pounded relentlessly through the island for nearly a century instantly flatlined. The neon lights flickered and died. The ventilation fans spun to a halt. The island was violently plunged into a profound, suffocating stillness. Time, which had rushed so feverishly through these crowded, sunless streets, simply stopped in a single second, sealing Hashima inside a perfect, tragic time capsule that the ocean has been slowly swallowing ever since.